The carnival was never a nice area, but now the heretics are dug in like rats. Word is that some kind of stim is spreading through the streets, making those nasty buggers even nastier. See if you can turn the tide and get us a win on the board, eh? Right. You got your orders. Get out there and bring those heretics to their knees.
Alright, so first thing I want to say is sorry, I was wrong. I did not understand what the carnival was at first. The carnival is definitely not a circus. And it's definitely not a traveling fucking carnival, you fucking idiot. Yeah, so the carnival is actually just a place in Tertium. It is pretty cool, though. It looks like they're having a rager. But, you know, when you're on Auric Damnation, it all goes so fast that you don't really have time to take in the sights. And my mods are broken, so I can't use camera free flight. Wow. I can't speak either. But I can tell you right now that the Traitor Curse it's alright. It's pretty alright. No, it's definitely a big change. They've been really putting a lot of work into the game. I just, you know, it's my own fault. I expected little clowns to be running around, and I got more heretics. No, I know that I'm assuming that they're planning on adding the 2 new bosses to the second part then. The only thing that I didn't like is, like, they added new music to the game, right? So during the boss fight, there's a new song, and during some of the horrors, there's a new song. But they're limited to the new map. I kind of would have liked them to bring them to the other maps, kind of switch it up a little bit. But it is what it is for right now. This is a big step for Warhammer Darktide, and I'm excited to see some development, some love and attention going to the game. But yeah, I mean, the patch notes are really long. There's a lot to take in. There was fixes to pretty much all the classes. Veteran and Zealot really being like the main focus of that. Psyker, their assail increased the base cooldown from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. And then the Ogryn fixed an issue where light 'em up talent would trigger multiple times on the same shot on the same enemy. And an issue with Furious triggering on all melee attacks, not just heavy. So not really big tweaks to those 2 classes, but Veteran and Zealot, I mean, they got a list. I'll put it up on the screen. You can pause it and read it. I don't even know how to read. But yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, there is a lot. I'll talk about a few changes that I think are crucial. But there was cosmetic updates, user interface updates. Like, they added these colors so that you don't get confused now. I know you guys were confused. But no, they did add some interesting things like new user setting, mute in background, which mutes the game whenever it's not in focus. There was a couple of VFX, SFX, and animation issues that they patched up, which included Ogryn positioning and size in the mission intro camera to minimize clipping when using certain loadouts. So if you're an Ogryn, your body's not going to get sucked through the wall anymore, so that's nice. They added a bunch of new conversations, to be exact, 50 plus, so not really exact, but 50 plus new bonding conversations. I guess they fixed an issue where characters could grunt while talking, so really working on some big things here. And now, I mean, if you're an Ogryn, I just wanted to go over a couple of weapon tweaks too. There's a long list here, so I mean, in the next video, if you guys want me to read everything, let me know. But if you're a fan of the Grenadier Gauntlet, it got a nerf, and it even got a dev note. Ogryn Gauntlet melee was never intended to replace or be better than your melee weapon, but a thing to smack around a few enemies if the situation called for it. The most crucial one that I saw was that it changed the light damage from 110 to 220 and down to 100 to 200. And the heavy attack, it changed from 175 to 350 to 130 to 250. So that's a significant nerf. And then they also removed the high armor mod for light strike down versus carapace armor to keep it more in line with the relentless attacks. Keep the high point 75 armor mod versus carapace armor on the heavy strike down attacks. So tweaked versus unarmored is 1.25 to 1. And tweaked versus unyielding brings it from 1.5 to also 1. Then if you're a fan of the kickback, they did, if you knew about the weapon swap glip, it fixed an issue where it was possible to shoot without consuming ammo with immediately swap canceling after firing it. So, no more exploiting, you cheaters. And the last few ones that I want to talk about that I feel are big are like changes to the Surge Force staff, like the electricity staff that Psychers can use. I guess they were receiving smite bonuses from the empowered psionics. They no longer receive those bonuses. So that is kind of a big change for that one. And then the last big one that I wanted to just mention, because there are just a few like minor tweaks, but the last big one that I wanted to talk about was they fixed an issue causing the aiming trajectory for underhand grenade throws to jump upwards when throwing the grenade. Never had that problem, but guess some of you did, so it's fixed. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the new Carnival map, right? Everyone wants to know Carnival. It seems like a lot of people have already played it often. I mean, we found this one guy who just pretty much shut down the whole point of the arena. It's a tough run. There's a lot of open spaces, a lot of places where you can end up getting stuck. And the last arena, the last fight is an extraction type mission, objective. And it's super easy to get pinned down by gunners. So look for that little hidey hole. It's kind of where you enter the arena, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah, again, sorry, I guess it's not a carnival. I really thought it was thought it was gonna be like a circus. So they actually ended up, aside from adding the keystones, they ended up moving around some of the perks. So like for instance, Twin Blast is now right above the Voice of Command ability, whereas before it was up here, and Serrated Blade is up here now. So, they added some variation, tweaked it a little bit, moved stuff around. It's definitely harder to spec into multiple trees now, just with the addition of these keystones. Right now, my favorites are between Focus Target and Weapon Specialist. Marksman Focus is okay. I just don't like the fact that you kind of have to stand still. You can get camouflage where, you stand still or walk and you get one stack of focus every 0.75 seconds. It's alright, but it's still not as good as Focus Target or Weapon Specialist. And my reasoning for that is, like I said, you essentially stay still the whole time. I feel like Darktide's not meant to be played like that. I guess it could pair well with Infiltrate, the minus 90% threat branch of it, but it hasn't worked for me. What has been working for me is Focus. Focus Target pairs well with the same tree that it's in, the Voice of Command one, because you end up being more of a support veteran, right? So with Focus Target, you actually end up gaining these things called Focus Target stacks every 2 seconds. So it stacks up to 5 times. You can get the one where it stacks up to 8, which is the one that I went. I like it. It works a lot. And essentially what Focus Target does is once you tag an enemy, it applies the Focus Target stacks to them, causing them to take 4% additional damage for each stack. Your Focus Target stack goes back to 1, but then you can also get this Redirect Fire, where if an enemy you have tagged dies, grant plus 1.5% damage to each stack of Focus Target applied to you and allies in coherency. So if you utilize those, it's a 12% damage buff every time you kill one of your tagged targets. So the next one that I really like is Weapon Specialist. It partners well with, again, the same tree that it's in. I tried to do a little variation here just to get the damage buff. So essentially, the way Weapon Specialist works is when you shoot an enemy and kill an enemy, you'll get 1 stack of Melee Specialist. And the way that works, when that procs, when you switch to your melee weapon, you'll get 15% melee attack speed, 10% dodge speed, and dodge distance for 10 seconds. So you can kind of see where it would already start working with the stealth build. You're already up close, and presumably by the end of those 10 seconds, you'll have your 10 stacks of Range Specialist. So when you draw your ranged weapon, you'll get 2% ranged attack speed and 33% ranged critical hit chance per stack for 5 seconds. So it's really just switching back and forth, right? It's super easy to get that melee stack back. So by the time 5 seconds is over, you'll have that up, and just keep swapping back and forth. And of course, I always go with my trusty revolver. But yeah, anyways, that about covers it. I'll link the patch notes in the description. Thanks for watching. Have fun out there, and be careful. See ya.